Alright, Shalom Akim. I like to say Kal Halayim, Wahawadla, Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Rakakwadash, double honors the apostles and elders of great mills do not rule well. Peace and blessing to the Akim around the world that push the truth to the four corners of the earth. Right, this brother Yarba. So I'll do a video on the title that you cannot escape the destruction of the Lord or the judgment of the Lord. I'm still trying to figure out which one I'll title it as. But in other words, you can't escape the things, once you do wrong, you cannot escape the Lord's judgment. All right? It says, it's 1 Peter 4:17. All right, 1 Peter 4:17 is say, for the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of the Most High. Right, which his name in Hebrew is Yahweh, and his son's name in Hebrew is Yahweh Shai. It says, and if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of the Most High? And as I say, even the men of the Lord who does try to do the things of the Lord, we does face judgment on a daily basis also. You understand? But we deal with our judgment now in hope that in the day of judgment we will be exempted, as I talk about in like in Ezekiel 9 from 4 go down, right? When it says set a mark upon the forehead of them that sigh and cry, right? But even the men of the Lord, the ones that follow the Lord and do his will, even they have to face some type of judgment. So imagine for those of Israel who not trying to be of the Lord, or even worse, for the heathens who are not of the Lord to even begin with. You understand? Everybody must face their judgment in some way.
Live from the world headquarters of RT America in Washington, D.C., this is the news with Rick Sanchez with special host Michelle Greenstein.
Good afternoon. I'm Michelle Greenstein filling in for Rick Sanchez. Sweden's public health authority has confirmed its first case of the Wuhan coronavirus in the form of a woman who had visited the Wuhan area of China. Now, the agency says she is not seriously ill, but has been isolated in the hospital's infection clinic. Apparently, she was free of symptoms when she first landed, but later developed a cough and contacted local hospitals. Now, in the United States, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have investigated 241 patients for the coronavirus, with 6 of them testing positive so far. And Delta Airlines and American Airlines are both temporarily suspending all flights from the U.S. to China. We're going to be digging into this and much more with Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai.
No, there's something that actually spreading, and they don't even have enough information to say, well, all right, what type of cough you might have, because that different kind of viruses that you might have that might develop a cough. It's said it's similar to the common cold. You don't know how long it is take before symptoms actually start to show, to know, well, if it's within a week or within 2 weeks that you'll actually start developing the symptoms. As I was telling somebody, I think it was just yesterday, say it's only now that they actually diagnose it as the corona, is why they could say, well, what to look out for and so forth. But they don't even know how long the outbreak going out for, how far it could have traveled by now, and all these different things. And even if they're starting to figure these things out, they cannot contain it. If the Lord wants these things to spread, to actually put judgment upon the earth, this is something that they cannot contain. Even the same woman who they say came from China, and she developed a cough and then contacted the hospital. How much people she was in contact with before that? The taxi driver that she actually traveled home with, all these different things. This is not something that you could contain, especially if the Lord doesn't want it to be contained. So in Deuteronomy 32 verse 39, it says, see now that I, even I, am he, and there is no God with me. I kill and I make alive, I wound and I heal. It said, neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. And these is, like I said, these are plagues that the Lord sending upon the earth. And if the Lord wants you to be caught up in these plagues or this destruction, there's nothing that you could really do about it. You could wear how many face masks, you could take how many precautional, You could put on hand gloves, all these different things. But to the end of the day, destruction must come upon the earth, and it's only the elect will escape the destruction. And if you're not of the elect, in some way, you would get caught up in it. You cannot escape it.
Biological engineer from MIT later in the show. This is the News with Rick Sanchez, where we do believe it's time to do news again. Here's our list of the questions we think you'll be asking tomorrow. New interesting details about the coronavirus. What are they exactly? Brexit is here, but when will actually things start to change between the United Kingdom and the European Union? And serious protests rock Mississippi over prison reform. Why haven't we heard much about them? But we begin with the coronavirus outbreak, which the UN's World Health Organization just declared a global health emergency. RT's Saya Tavenger has the story.
So now 43 more deaths in China have been announced, bringing the current death toll to 213, and nearly 2,000 new cases were recorded in China just in the last 24 hours, bringing a worldwide total to nearly 10,000. And while the majority of the cases are inside China, about 100 cases have been confirmed in 19 other countries. And Michelle, now also the UK and Russia have both now also reported the first case of the coronavirus. And as we've reported earlier, coronavirus has surpassed the SARS epidemic. So now the question on everyone's mind is just how far away a vaccine for this new virus is. And we're hearing a couple of different answers. Now, some experts are saying that a vaccine could still be years away and likely won't even make a dent on the current outbreak, while the NIH is hoping to develop a vaccine within the next 3 months. But Michelle, the fact that there are still no vaccines for the coronavirus family member SARS, it shows that creating a vaccine can take time. Now, to give you an example, the Ebola vaccine took almost 20 years. But the good thing is the scientists are also not starting from scratch here. A significant amount of research has already been done with the development of a vaccine against SARS. So this should help guide and expedite the development of vaccines against coronavirus. But let's just say that a vaccine is developed in 3 months with the current confirmed death cases. We would be looking at some 1,500 deaths with almost 30,000 cases. And that's only if the outbreak is spread at the current speed, which will most likely not even be the case. So while many think that just enough is not being done, China's envoy to the United Nations today expressed caution against excessive measures in response to the outbreak. Take a listen.
And the funny thing is, everybody walking around with face masks, but it also said that you could be able to contract it through your eyes also. So if a person sneezes and it gets into your eyes, but they should walk around with goggles also, not just face masks. It says, the 1 Samuel 2 verse 6, it said, the Lord kill it and make it alive. He bring it down to the grave and bring it up. It said, the Lord make it poor and make it rich. He bring it low and lift it up. You understand? Anything that happens here is of the Lord, really and truly. And it even has some reports that it might even reach down here in the island of Trinidad also. You know, there's no confirmed reports about it. But like I say, it's not something that you could easily detect. So you can't even tell yourself, well, you know, it's only after time and only if the person actually reports it, then they'll actually know if they have it or not. But we don't even know how long it takes for symptoms to show up.
Need for unnecessary panic and no need for excessive measures. We have to acknowledge the seriousness of the matter. Bear in mind the spread, both in scope and speed. That is why the fake has been declared.
Michelle, Chinese authorities have also received numerous offers of help from the international community. However, they're still trying to plan and organize for when and where they will need the actual foreign assistance. In Washington, Sai Tavenger, RT.
Joining us to discuss this is Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai, a scientist with 4 degrees from MIT, including one in biological engineering. Now, Dr. Shiva, you've spent decades studying the immune system. Let's start here. As a layperson, is there anything one can do to lower their own risk of contracting this disease?
I'll read a scripture. So this second is just 16. I'll start from 18. It said the beginning of sorrows and great mourning, the beginning of famine and great death. And even seeing not only with this virus, you're seeing things like, you know, the like I was talking about with the swarm of locusts in one of the Hamite regions. You understand, had the fire, it had floods in many different places, hurricanes, earthquakes, all these different things happening rampant around the same time. All these things is what the judgment of the Lord that He bringing upon the earth. Right? He say He will visit the earth with what? With signs. Right? It's the beginning of wars. It say, and the powers shall stand in fear. And it's the beginning of evils. It say, what shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plagues, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. You see, but for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. And we know 2/3 of Israel, they would not turn back from what they delight in. They will not turn to the things of the Lord and actually do what they're supposed to do. They will continue in the wickedness. Right? It say, behold, I'll jump to verse 22. Say, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the others that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. And also talk about that in Amos. I'll bring that later on. It have no way to escape the destruction of the Lord. You see, only the elect will escape. You understand? But the rest, they will be caught up in some way. If you're not caught in one thing, you'll be caught in something else.
Well, look, most infectious diseases, if you look at the history, when you look at hygiene, when you look at sanitation, when you look at proper infrastructure, that's been primarily the things that's really, lowered infectious disease. If you go look at the history in this country, for example, prior to the creation of the measles vaccine, 98% of the measles itself was obliterated because of infrastructure and hygiene and sanitation, etc. On the other part of it, what can the individual do? And I think this entire the news with this virus that's going on brings up really the issue of how do you actually deal with immune health. And the reality of immune health is the one approach is a top-down approach, right? Let's start vaccinating everyone, impose vaccines, etc. The other approach is a bottoms-up approach, which is, do you decentralize care at the local level between the doctor and the patient, and how do you enable individuals to increase their immune health? Look, there's enough literature out there that one of the ways that you support immunity is through vitamin A. When people consume proper food, carotenoids, and your thyroid is working properly, your body converts that to vitamin A. Vitamin A is like a deadbolt that locks viruses from coming in. And there are other measures that you can use, particularly in terms of supporting your body, digestion, your microbiome. As I've shared recently, the immune system is a very complex system beyond the adaptive and the innate. It includes the microbiome, the gut-brain axis, and the interferon. So it's a very complex system, but it's clear that when you look at a population of 1.4 billion people in China, about 200 have died. It's relatively small. So the issue is, why did those 200 people die? And this brings up, in many ways, an opportunity for us to understand that and to really recognize that we need to really figure out ways to support immune health. That's really the goal versus, always thinking that it's a reductionist model, that we always need to hit it with a vaccine. And I think that's the opportunity here because, what we're seeing here is a top-down model of an authoritarian model, top-down to say this is how we do it, versus a bottoms-up model. Now, that does not mean we should not contain things. I think a lot of the things that people are doing to contain travel and all these things are good because ultimately that's how you stop the spread of infectious diseases. But that doesn't get to the heart of the problem, which is strengthen people's immune health and really bring in infrastructure, because that's really what's ultimately going to solve this. And that's a bottoms-up policy point that needs to be addressed.
Now, what do you see as some of the risks of rushing to develop and deploy a vaccine? Because we're hearing a lot of news coverage about how there isn't a vaccine yet, how we're going to get one in time, how we're going to get it across the globe in time. What do you see as some of the, I'm asking specifically about health risks of...
No, in my personal opinion, I say is biological warfare. I believe that this thing was sent to them. I can't prove it yet, but you say it, even reports coming out that Bill Gates was saying that it would eventually have some viral infection that would cause millions of people to die. And you understand, these people in high places don't say these things for no reason. You understand? I believe it's biological warfare, especially seeing that China is one of the biggest obstacles to America. But we know ultimately it's the Lord that doing these things. As I was saying, I said people don't kill people. God does kill people. He has just used people to do it. Right? It says there's Amos 5 verse 18. It says, woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. It said, to what end is it for you? The day of the Lord is darkness and not light. You understand? When people always talking about when the Lord finally return, but they don't know what kind of time they're going to be like. They think that is a happy time where they're doing wickedness now, right as he reached those, say, God, please forgive me, and everything will be normal with them. But no, the Lord coming back to destroy the sinners. Right? It say, as if a man did flee from a lion, and a bear met him, and went into the house, and leaned his hand on the wall, and a serpent bit him. So now you say that can have destruction on every side. No matter if you try to run on one side, you have destruction. You try to escape the destruction on one and you run to the left side, still destruction. No matter where you go, as long as you're not of the elect, you will have that judgment to face. Right? And leaned his hand on the wall, and a serpent bit him. It says, shall not the day of the Lord be darkness and not light, even very dark, and no brightness in it? And that is the kind of destruction that's going to take this place. Where people talking about these viruses now and all these little earthquakes, and the scriptures saying that it coming closer to the end. It said the earth shall shake to and fro like a drunkard. They ain't see earthquakes yet. They ain't see floods yet. Because after missiles started to hit, what going to happen? Tidal waves. They ain't see nothing yet. They're still in the early stages of destruction. And people can't even take the early stages. So imagine when that real time of destruction come closer to the end, how it will be. You understand? But like I said, the point of the lesson, say you can't escape the destruction of the Lord. No matter how much you try, or how much you might try to avoid it. Just like I read in the second Esdras, it say, who escape from the hunger, the sword shall destroy. So if you escape from the pestilence, you'll get caught up in the hunger. If you escape from the hunger, you'll be slain by the sword. Something is going to get you. Unless you are of the elect. Right? I don't make it too long. As I said, I'll go through those few precepts. That's to show that, you already had to be keeping this word. You had to be doing the things of the Lord, so that when that time come, he will keep you from that time of destruction. Because really and truly, that is the only way that you'll be preserved. I think that is why Matthew. Around to the one somewhere there. Matthew 24 verse 31, it say, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds. You understand? Those winds represent what? Destruction. You see, from one end of heaven to the other. You understand? The elect is the ones that go in and escape that destruction. Or they would have some that might be beheaded for the word, but the vast amount, they go in and escape the destruction. It say Revelations 3 verse 10, it say, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. And the Lord say, he will keep us from the hour of temptation. It's not something that we ourselves could escape. If like I say, the Lord not with you, you're not going to escape these things. You will get caught up in it. Right? It say, I will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. It say, behold, I cometh quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. So like I say, you gotta keep towards these things, continue in these things. You understand? So when that time when the time of calamity does come, the Lord will keep you from those things. You understand? Through faith in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And you also gotta keep to your works also. Right? So I hope it was edifying. I say shalom.